In this part of the interview, we touch on a little bit of mental health. If you are someone that is struggling with mental health, please contact your healthcare provider and know that you are not alone. And remember, everybody struggles with something, so always keep an open mind and an open heart. We can all get through our struggle.
There have been a lot of coping mechanisms that I've used, and I know you've used a lot of them yourself.
Yeah. So when it comes to education, because that's a big part of everyone's life.
Yes.
How does that work for you?
Well, I was one of the few kids with CP to attend a mainstream school. Talking Delray, you're talking the Bear School and all those. But after that, it was like regular schooling for me. But the pace was a little slower because I learned differently from everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like the slower the pace was, the more I excelled. But the faster it was for me, I had a very difficult time keeping up.
Exactly. So if you guys don't know what Delray and the Bear School is, the Bear School is a semi-public school for children with disabilities, and Delray was a private school for people with disabilities.
Yes.
And unfortunately, Delray no longer existed. We were grateful that they made it 50 years strong at the time, but because of funding, Delray had to close its doors. So a lot of their kids had to.
I never knew that.
Yeah, this happened last year to be.
Wow.
Delray had to close its doors because of funding, and yes, they do fundraisers pretty much every month and periodically, and then there's the outside help from donations that they got. But unfortunately, they had to close their doors, and a lot of their kids either got sent to the Bear School or they got sent to schools that were either wheelchair accessible, but their main requirement that a lot of them had to have a special education program. Now, in certain terms, special education can mean a lot of different things when it comes to special education. That could be just testing, reading, math, behavior, or something like that. But the harder your disability is, it could most likely affect your brain. So that means your speech, your talking, and your comprehension. So Delray in the Bear School has a range of those type of children. Yes. So you start at a school like that at the age of 2, and then some people stay until 21, and as they get older, they teach them what is considered life skills. And what life skills are, they are preparing you for the outside world.
For the quote-unquote real world.
Exactly. So they teach you like cooking, baking, bathing, clothing, stuff like that.
Yeah, anything having to do with hygiene and living independently and that and there is a stigma for people like you and I, and it's like we're doing everything we can to kind of take the lid off of it, if you will.
Yeah.
Because how many times have you been somewhere and you're just getting looked at, and I mean, just people just overlooking you in more than one sense.
That's true. I didn't have the special education experience, so I don't know what that's like. I've been in classrooms where I've had to observe kids in special education, but for me personally, I never took special education courses. I went from Delray to regular school and put in regular classes. The only thing that was different for me was that I got extended time on tests. But I did everything anybody else in my class did. My grades were the same. It was no different. And by the time I got to high school, I took honors courses.
A lot of people, you talk about extended time on certain assignments like tests and things. A lot of students tend to get a little uptight about that. Like, I had to finish my test in this amount of time. Why she got to finish, or why he got to finish? Why is he getting extra time?
Yeah, you do get those questions.
Yeah, and they can come out rather snarky.
Mhm.
But I can tell you, with this particular month, and as you alluded to, Jasmine, this is Cerebral Palsy Awareness Month, which means this all started in, as I understand it, 2012. I didn't find out about this until maybe about 3 years ago. I'd like to say. I said, there's a month for folks that are like me, and then I started doing research about it, and they have colors for different months, like for heart disease prevention or heart disease awareness, it's red, and for breast cancer awareness, it's pink, and for CP awareness, it's the color green.
Yeah.
Which pretty much explains why my room has been painted green. That was by my request. That was what I requested.
So what do you mean, for people that don't know, what did you mean you have to request that your room was painted green?
Well, shortly my first day here, which was June 21st, 2017, and even before then, my mom was asking me what color would I want my room, and I without hesitation picked the color green for obvious reason. And she was like, okay. And she actually put a lot of, positive decals, to make the room to make it not look so bland.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know anybody who wants to be looking at white walls. I mean, I wanted my room to have style. And I'm not, really big into like interior decorating and all that jazz.
Those are things I love, by the way.
No wonder that smile just crossed your face.
Interior decorating, fashion design, those are things I love.
I didn't want anything too, over the top or anything like that. And my mom, she even put up some, I'm into sports, I'm into football. So yeah, she put these fat heads on my wall as well of my favorite football team, which is the Atlanta Falcons.
You know how people feel about you not rooting for the home team over here.
Yes, I know.
There's a lot of
I
people that
know.
feel some type of way that you don't root for the home team, but I understand everybody has their favorite.
Everybody has their own. Yeah. I mean, if you would have told me that going on this journey, I would meet some amazing people and do some amazing things, there is no way. I knew I was going to be doing something special and meeting some special people. But if you would have told me that I would, at this stage of my life, doing what I'm doing now, there's no way you could have prepared me. And I mean, what are some of the coping mechanisms you use to get yourself through that?
Mm-hmm. So what Eric's asking me is about mental health. And mental health does play a part, or it is a factor for some people. Meaning that when you're constantly being spotted or have to get some sort of procedure, test, or take some sort of medication, and you feel lonely, like you have no friends, nobody understands your life, or nobody understands what you're going through, it can play with you mentally. So sometimes it does require you sitting down with a psychiatrist, therapist, counselor, when sometimes it does require anxiety medications or depression medications, but that's something you discuss with your doctor. And if anybody out there ever feels like they're mentally unstable or off, please go get some help, because that's what they're there for. They're there for that. And not every day is going to be sunshine and rainbows. Sometimes
Oh no,
there can be dark clouds.
It's just a lot of rain.
Yeah, so they teach you coping mechanisms in certain situations, like in classes in schools and whatnot. So and he asked me particularly what I do the therapies. I do see them often. I talk to them, and I do have anxiety, so I do have to be careful of that. But it is definitely managed, and I do see a therapist, and I don't mind seeing one. At one point in my life, I did. I thought it wasn't going to do anything. And don't I talk to enough people already? That was my number one thing. Don't y'all test me enough and come see me enough. And don't I talk to a nurse, a doctor, or this one, or that one, a coordinator, or this one, or that one. Now you want me to go see a therapist? Be honest. I was one of those people. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, goodness.
But now I know therapy is something that I personally need to keep those dark days at bay.
Yeah.
So what about you, Eric, and your coping mechanisms?
Mine are video games, basically, books, YouTube, singing.
And I know video games is a popular one.
Yes. I mean, that was probably one of the earliest mechanisms I used, to cope with. And my father had gotten me a specific kind of game, and this is 1989 we're talking about here. So I was waiting up for my dad, and I was 2 years old at the time. So as I'm waiting for him, I turn my head, and in this black bag is an NES cartridge with a Wheel of Fortune picture on the front of it. So popped it in, and we spent the rest of the night playing. And that's how I got hooked on the show. And here it is, 32 years later. I tried out twice for the show, and it's like, I'm thinking, I knew that all that playing wasn't wasting my time, and I wasn't racking my brain.
Mm-hmm.
And I found out some things about the show as well. If you've seen the show, you'll notice that a lot of the contestants stand on a platform. Okay, now for folks like you and I, they have what's called a designated spinner. No, for people who can't reach over and spin the wheel themselves, they actually have someone to help them along with that.
I did not know that. I've watched Wheel of Fortune for a while, and I've never even thought about.
And when I just saw like someone standing next to a person who happened to be disabled, and that able-bodied person spinning for that person, I'm like, whoa, okay. I think I just found an answer to my question.
Mm-hmm.